listening to SFP-NOW.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of SFP Now, where we are going to be looking at some of the new TV shows that are coming up in the fall. But we might even discuss some of the TV shows that I've just sort of finished as well. And to help me out with this, as always, is Raissa. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Okay, well I'm good. So where should we start?
Well, since the announcement came today, why don't we start with the new Star Trek Discovery series?
Yep, it's called, the actual discovery is they've actually discovered Spock's frontier. You know, they found it behind a vending machine, and, you know, rigor mortis had well and truly, you know, sort of set in. There's a few green maggots hanging out the back. We kind of think they beamed in from an episode of Doctor Who, but there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's going to be airing September 24th, and as you was just telling me before we went to air, they're going to be splitting the season in two.
Yes, they're going to be following the Walking Dead model. The first 8 episodes will run in the fall through November 5th, and the final 7 episodes will start in January 2018.
You know what? I'm quite happy for them to do that, you know, but I'm just hoping it's well written. I'm hoping it's well written. I'm hoping it's good. But from all I'm hearing, it's sort of like it's had very, very troubled production. I've heard stories about Les Mooms, the wanker that cancelled Enterprise all those years back, has been sort of like riding roughshod over everything, and they kind of like designed it to look a certain way. I mean, it kind of resembles Halo. You know, the uniforms and stuff like that. But, you know, it's also been criticised for maybe looking a little bit too much like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
For those of us who are less than enthusiastic about those, that doesn't sound good. But, I mean, I will certainly watch it if it's good, and I've gotten to a point where I will dump it if it's not good. I've reached a point where I don't sit through shows just because they're there. So...
Yeah, you know, I'll probably do the same, but then again, if there's nothing else good that's on at the same time, I mean, there's no space operas on, so you know, if it is good, it's going to do well. If it's not so good, it's probably still going to do well because there's no space operas on. There's nothing to fill that void that's been left from Star Trek shows of past, and maybe even the sort of like action adventure element of the Stargate shows. There's nothing being out in a while to fill that gap in the market.
No, although the closest thing to it is a comedy that's going to be airing on Fox.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit though. The Orville, which is it Seth MacFarlane show? Yeah. Yeah. You know, because that kind of looks like it's riffing on Next Generation a little bit with the uniforms. Yeah, it's a little bit Next Generation and a little bit Galaxy Quest. Mm-hmm. It'll at least be entertaining if nothing else. Yeah, I mean, I've got a feeling that it's kind of a given that show's going to do well. Mm-hmm. But what will happen, you know, if Seth MacFarlane's other shows or anything to go by, it will do well for maybe 2-3 years, then get cancelled. Then there will be a big push and it'll get revived and then run for another 2-3 years. Oh. Because that's what's happened with most of these shows. Oh, okay. So you know, I mean, the Orville looks promising, but you know, I'm kind of like I'm kind of like holding out hope that Star Trek Discovery is actually better than, you know, a lot of the reports and a lot of the troubles that it's had are going to be in. And just to confirm a rumour, no, Michael Dorn will not be in Star Trek Discovery. Sadly. Hopefully Ty is listening, but Yeah, but that said, if anything, we ran that story based on Ty mishearing what was said at that convention. But if anything, it did actually sort of reveal another bit of news. It revealed a bit of news that he'd actually been offered a role, but he turned it down because there wasn't enough money. So in a backhanded way, it did actually reveal something tangible that was real.
Yeah.
But it's just what I'm looking forward to is it Ryan Wilson or Rainn Wilson as
Rainn Wilson
as Harry
Mudd. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I mean, if they play him the same, and not the same way, not as identically the same, but if they play him in a similar way to how Harry Mudd was played in the original series, they might actually be onto something. But if they play him dark, broody, and serious, and like a serious sort of like Michael Corleone, sort of like Godfather type,
yeah, it's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
No.
So I'm hoping, although they're not being true to the look of original Star Trek, even though it's set 10 years before the original series, sort of thing, I'm hoping that they can at least be true to the spirit of it. But from what I've seen of the trailer, it doesn't look like they are going to be, because she already this woman's ready to cut off a Klingon's head, sort of thing. So I'm kind of hoping that's just sort of like one scene that they put in there to sort of like to throw us off the scent, sort of thing, because it's sort of like I don't know. I mean, I really want it to succeed, and I want it to be good.
Yeah.
So, so I've got a feeling it's probably I'll probably wind up bloody watching it anyway, despite it, despite the fact, because there's nothing there to fill that gap other than the Orville, and the Orville was a comedy.
Yeah.
So, Star Trek Discovery. Will it be as good as Star Trek Continues?
Star Trek Continues rocks so hard.
Yep, and how many of them have they released now so far?
They have released 8 of them. I think they've got 3 left. They planned 13. They had to scale back to 11.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the last 3 then. So I was actually watching it earlier on my new TV.
Yeah.
And they've not filmed it in widescreen. They filmed it in the same sort of like conditions as the original series.
Yes.
But that said, it looks really good on a 4K screen. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, moving on to other shows. Do you want to talk about the Orville?
Yes, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparently going to be airing Thursdays at 9 p.m. starting in the fall. There's no specific premiere date as such yet, unfortunately. It's a half hour. It's going to be equivalent to a workplace comedy in space, sort of a cross between The Office and Galaxy Quest. McFarlane plays a character called Ed Mercer, the captain of the ragtag crew, which also includes Adrian Padalecki, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fame.
All right.
Scott Grimes and Penny Johnson-Gerald. And we know Penny Johnson-Gerald not only from 24, but prior to that she played...
DS9, Cassidy Yates.
She played Cassidy Yates Cisco. So it's good casting for her. She's coming back.
I thought she was brilliant in 24, her.
Yes, Lady McPalmer. Yeah, she was awesome. It's apparently, the pilot is going to be directed by Iron Man's John Favreau. So the pilot will at least be worth watching.
I think generally the show will be worth watching, because with Seth MacFarlane, you're always going to get something that's really, really, really funny.
Yes.
And also really, really relevant, because he's a huge Star Trek and Star Wars fan. He's one of us. So a lot of the humour that goes into his shows actually translates well with the geek audience as well as the everyday audience, sort of thing. I mean, look at Family Guy and the Family Guy sort of like versions of Star Wars he did.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be really good. You know, it'd probably be funnier than Galaxy Quest because the humor will probably, the humor might be a little bit more daring.
Yes.
Than Galaxy Quest. Have you seen the trailer for the Orville yet?
Yes, I did. I liked it very much.
Yeah. I think it looked promising. I actually liked it better than the trailer for Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
I did
too.
Which is
I did too.
not a good thing.
No. I've got mixed feelings. I just want good television. I'm tired of mediocre shows. Because mediocre seems to be the new threshold.
Yeah, well, I was checking out some Netflix shows the other day because there's not really been much on TV of late. With now that Arrow and Flash and all those shows are over, even the other shows I was watching are over, such as Timeless and whatever. And I found a show called 3%. And it's basically about, 3% of the population go off and, become rich for a while. It's kind of like a Hunger Games type sort of like thing. And I watched about the first 20 minutes of one episode and couldn't get into it. And the reason I couldn't get into it was because it was very, very obviously dubbed into English.
Oh dear.
So I was kind of watching their mouths and saying, huh? I wonder what's going on here. It looked like it was dubbed into English. It was either dubbed into English or the acting was just terrible.
Oh, God.
So I turned it off. But I found another show on Netflix, which I'm probably going to write about once I have a chance to watch it. There's only 6 episodes of it in the first season. And it is called Clever Man. And it's about it's set in the near future in Australia, and basically these sort of like a mutation of humanity, and they're kind of being made the underclass by the ordinary humans, and they from what I can see about it's basically there's a lot of angry going on. In fact, it's actually punching you in the face with angry. But there's quite a few interesting characters. I mean, I barely watched the first episode yesterday, and I was kind of like half watching it while doing some other stuff. And I think it's one of these things I'm just going to have to go back and rewatch and pay more attention to because it looked really interesting. What was happening. Yeah. Because one of the characters in it who sort of like he actually turns his family of these mutants into the authorities. His cousin comes along and chops his finger off, and he grows a new finger.
Oh dear!
And he sort of like metamorphizes. He's basically turning into one of these sort of like people that he's shot, sort of thing. So I've got a feeling some of the story is going to centre on him. Sort of thing, but it looks really, really interesting, and that's sort of like one that's out now on Netflix.
Cool.
So, and it's Australian, which you don't really get too many Australian TV shows.
No.
Happening, other than Neighbours and Wentworth and soaps here, but this is a sci-fi. So I'm going to give it another look because I think it's probably worth looking at. But another thing I've been hoping to do is I'm hoping to look at a few of these films that Netflix has released and maybe review a handful of those because I did one called iBoy with Arya in from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And they've done a few. There's one called Ark or something, but it's basically Ark, but it's spelled with a Q on the end instead of a K or a C.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to be looking at some of those. So maybe we can come back and do a Netflix show at some point. But moving things on. A show that I'm curious to see is called Snowpiercer.
Yes, that one I'm curious about. I actually watched the movie a few days ago.
The movie's great.
Yeah, the movie is very good, and I'm saying that as someone who isn't into post-apocalyptic stuff at this point. Snowpiercer is actually one of the more interesting variations on the theme. They put some real effort into it.
Yeah, because it's basically using the an environmental disaster for the story. But other than the movie, it's actually based on a comic book series which was released through Titan Comics a few years ago by Jake's. It's based on Jake's Loeb's graphic novel. Fuck it, it's French. I've not eaten enough frogs and eggs to actually get this right, so. But the comic book's actually really, really good as well. And I think Titan Comics actually translated all 3 volumes of it into English and released them a few years ago, and the movie came out around about the same time. Funnily enough, you're very fortunate to have seen the movie in America because it's not been released here at all on DVD.
Oh wow! Okay.
I had to find and download a copy of it illegally in order to see it. Because it's been out for about 4 or 5 years and it's not come out on DVD or Blu-ray here. And I seen it last year when I got it, and I really enjoyed it.
It was very good. The TV adaptation is going to star Jennifer Connelly of Hulk and Beautiful Mind, and if we go back far enough, Labyrinth fame. And I'm going to watch it for her. It's also got a couple of other actors that I'm interested in, and I'm interested in the aesthetic of it to see if they can pull off the aesthetic of it on a basic cable budget.
Yeah, it's also being produced by Josh Friedman, who did the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles and a few other things. So. That's quite promising. So I think Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, he did a pretty good job with that. Given that he was having to basically do something that was a movie on a TV budget.
Yes, I'm also heartened by the fact that the pilot is going to be directed by Scott Derrickson, who directed Doctor Strange, and I liked Doctor Strange. I liked the aesthetic of that, so that's going to be interesting.
Oh, I love Doctor Strange. I've watched Doctor Strange 2-3 times since actually buying it.
Ooh.
Which is rare for me. It's rare for me to watch a Marvel film that much within the first year of owning it. I do dip back into them every now and again, but to watch something 3 times already on the trot.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty good going. That tells you that Doctor Strange is a fucking awesome movie. Yeah. And Snowpiercer should look very good if Doctor Strange is anything to go by. Yeah, but it does look like a really interesting. It sounds like a really interesting TV show. And I've got a feeling that if they do it, they'll do it more as a character-driven thing. Because the film has quite a few characters that don't really get explored fully because of the action bits.
Yeah.
So they'll probably explore the class system a little bit more in a TV series.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking, having seen the film, it'll be interesting to see if they survive that long, if they actually go with something like the ending or change the ending. Because the ending was very specific and very bleakly what it was. So, it's going to be, I don't know if they can sustain that with a TV show.
Maybe TV show, they might meet up with another train. That could happen. And wind up on a collision course. Or they might sort of like the train might get hijacked by a bunch of Native Americans that have somehow managed to survive the elements.
Yeah, that would actually be interesting.
Yeah. Well, that would actually be interesting, but it'd also be very true of Native American tribes actually just sort of like moving on and surviving and evolving, to the next sort of like level sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really looking forward to it, and so like it's one that caught my eye on the list of movies of shows that you sent me. Sort of
yeah.
All right. Another one that kind of caught my eye was The Crossing.
Maybe I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah. Well, when I say caught my eye, it means I'm kind of on the fence. I've got to see it first to decide, sort of thing. It's basically kind of timely because it's a political show. The premise revolves around a group of refugees from war-torn country seeking asylum in the United States. Except these people are from America, and the war they are trying to escape from takes place 250 years in the future. It kind of sounds a little bit like Travellers.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
And Travellers, I've watched the first 7-8 episodes of that, and I found it incredibly slow. And I'm not sure why I'm finding that. Maybe it's because sort of like I like my shows a bit more fast paced than that, but I found it incredibly slow. It's basically local sheriff Jude Miller, who's played by Steve Zahn, and federal agent Emma Wren, who's played by Sandrine Holt, find themselves at the centre of a mystery. They must not only help 47 survivors, including a woman named Rebecca, who's played by Natalie Martinez, but also discover the truth behind the events and whatever the government may be hiding. Dan Dworkin and Jay Beatty are writing and producing The Crossing. The two have experience with government conspiracy shows with a sci-fi twist, previously having produced short-lived The Event, which should really have been retitled The Non-Event on NBC.
That was awful.
It actually says here, hopefully The Crossing will last long enough for viewers to get to the heart of the mystery surrounding the survivor's return. Sounds like they're trying to do Lost.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, to be honest, people either get into these shows or they don't. And Lost was kind of special, as in that I think it actually pulled in the people that got into those shows, but also pulled in the people that didn't normally get into those shows. But it seems like since Lost has gone off the air, they've been trying over and over and over and over again to replicate it somehow. And this sounds like another attempt at that. So I'm not sure about that one.
No. I'd like to bring up, just because it's going to be airing in a few days, Spike, cable channel here in the U.S., is going to be doing a remake of Stephen King's The Mist as a TV show, and it's going to air June 22nd, which is 3 days from now, at 10 p.m. on Spike. Which is, want to bring it up for those, since it's so timely, for those who might want to check it out. It's based on the story of The Mist from his anthology Dark Forces. It's been adapted into a film in 2007. It tells the story of Bridgeton, Maine, in the aftermath of a crime that has shaken the town when the eerie mist of the title rolls in. Hidden in the mist are supernatural creatures that cut the people of the town off from the rest of the world. Executive producer says that the show will be a reimagining of the original source material, similar to what has been done with Fargo. While the book focuses on a group of people stuck in a grocery store, the trailers for the new show have already given us a look at a group of people trapped in different locations, giving the story a wider scope. It also hints at a darker tone, which will give this sci-fi show an added element of horror. Mm-hmm. It stars Morgan Spector, Elisa Sutherland, Okezie Morrow, Darren Petty, Dan Butler, Isaiah Washington, and Francis Conroy. And premieres June 22nd, which is a few days from now, at 10 p.m. on Spike.
Cool. Well, as soon as we're on shows that are actually coming on or are just started, I want to bring up Blood Drive, which is amazingly funny. It's so like it's basically taking the mickey out of it. It's basically parodying all the grindhouse stuff that you've seen in all these movies back in the 80s. it's got a bit of the exploitation thing going on and stuff like that, and it's just so funny. I've seen up to episode 6 so far, so I've been doing a bit of stuff on Monsters and Critics about it. But it's if you like grindhouse stuff, if you like that sort of very cheap and cheerful, very badly acted, but knowingly badly acted in this case, because the actors are actually really good. Then you'll probably enjoy it. It's just off the wall, funny and silly as hell. So it's worth watching. That's airing on Tuesdays at the moment on Sci-Fi in the States. And also Dark Matter's just started back up again in the US on Fridays, and I think it's actually airing on Mondays here in the UK. So that's started back up again. That's as always, it's getting pretty good. And we also have coming up next month will be the premiere of the 3rd season of Killjoys. So the summer shows are starting to come back on.
Cool.
But there's not that many of them that are really genre specific that we can discuss, to be honest. Other than the ones we've mentioned. Moving on, Electric Dreams.
I was going to bring that one up. Amazon.
Which is not the movie from the 80s.
No.
An awesome movie. But yeah, it's a Philip K. Dick thing. Based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. He's basically riffing on the book title. Which was eventually made into Blade Runner, and it's Ron D. Moore, and I'll pass it on to you.
Yes, I'm actually looking forward to this. It's being done in the style of Black Mirror as an anthology series based on Dick's works. It's going to be 10 episodes. There are 10 episodes starring a dynamic cast, including Terrence Howard, Vera Farmiga, Timothy Spall, Richard Madden, Benedict Wong, Tuppence Middleton, and Anna Paquin. It's going to be a strong creative team. Bryan Cranston will appear in the series as well and act as an executive producer. The writers for the series include Ronald D. Moore, Michael Dinner, let's see,
Jessica Mecklenburg.
From Stranger Things, and Jack Thorne, who co-wrote Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Streaming later on Amazon this year. This year.
Yeah, so that's something for people to be watching once they've gotten through with American Gods, I guess.
Yes.
For basing for those that I've been waiting for American Gods to finish off so I can just binge watch the whole lot of it.
Yeah.
But that sounds like an interesting show. We all love Philip K. Dick's work. Stuff such as Man in the High Castle. Sort like Blade Runner, Minority Report. And stuff like that, all based on his work. So
yeah,
be interesting to see what an anthology series brings. And when they say anthology series, do they mean an anthology series in the form of Fargo, where it's like one story the whole season, and then they make a new season, it's a whole new story, or? It's
going to be 10 individual stories. It's going to be old school anthology, kind of like Twilight Zone or Outer Limits.
Cool.
So, which I actually prefer. I've been waiting for a good old school anthology series. I'm kind of getting tired of serialized narrative.
Yeah, to be honest, I think they tried to bring back Twilight Zone a few years back, and it ran for a season and didn't do too well.
Yeah,
and they also tried to do another anthology which wasn't called Twilight Zone, that lasted about 6 episodes and got cancelled as well. So, but I think because of Black Mirror and the success of that, there's actually space for it now.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe it just needed something like Black Mirror to show the way of how it could be done in a modern way, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, and another show that we're curious about would be Lost in Space.
Yes, that was going to be my next one.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be Netflix. It's coming out in 2018, and it's got, and it's going to be, they've actually, one thing that's slightly questionable, but I'll see how it goes. They've gender swapped Professor Smith, played by Parker Posey, Dr. Smith. So, yeah, that could go either way. If they give her good scripts, they'll be fine. But
yeah, I'm just getting tired of this whole gender swapping thing.
Yeah, I am too.
You know, it's they don't need to do it.
No, and I think part of it's generational. I mean, I think some of it is that we're just old relative to the audience they're aiming for.
I don't. I just think the audience they're aiming for are narrow-minded and shallow and don't appreciate good storytelling and good literature. You know, if the character's written as male, the character should be male. You know, it's not like these. You know, these examples of strong female characters going way back in literature. You know, and even in film. You know, Ripley sort of thing. I think they should actually make an alien film and gender swap Ripley so that she is a he, and let's see the uproar then. Because I tell you something, there will be uproar if that was to happen, and there'd be a much bigger uproar than it would be if, you know, sort of like the Doctor was suddenly to become a woman, sort of thing, or and stuff like that. I'm just tired of it. You know, it's not like you can't write a strong female character.
No.
You know, and Wonder Woman proves that.
Yes.
Yeah. Although there was a film called Wonder Man with Danny Kaye, which you know, but basically that was a comedy, and he was a klutz. But that was sort of like that came out in the 50s, so. And it had nothing to do with Wonder Woman. They weren't trying to reimagine Wonder Woman back then. As a go.
No.
But it's just I'm kind of getting tired of it. Although I'm quite curious about seeing Lost in Space.
Yeah, I'm curious about. They can't do the original tone because the original tone was just too campy. But I'm interested in seeing what their middle ground looks like.
That's what I'm interested in, because, you know, I wasn't really, as a kid, I liked Lost in Space.
Yeah.
But when somewhere around about my 20s, I kind of liked it from a nostalgic point of view.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually bigger into the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Yeah. was my show. I actually kind of backbenched Lost in Space. I was busy watching Doctor Who.
Yeah,
on PBS.
They didn't really do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea as a show, though, as a film. I think you might be thinking about Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Yeah, that was it. I'm sorry.
That was an Irwin Allen show, and
Irwin Allen. That was my Irwin Allen one.
Yeah.
I actually liked that one. I had a kind of a crush on Al Hedison.
Yeah, the movie for that was good, and then we had the series which ran for about 6 years. It was actually a pretty good series.
Yeah, I just recently saw the original film for the first time on one of our classic movie channels. It was quite good.
And we also had Sequest in the 90s, which, you know, was pretty good.
It was solid. There were problems in the later season, but it was solid. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of surprises me, you know, and we've kind of gotten off Lost in Space a little bit here, but it kind of surprises me that they've not done more sort of like science fiction under the water.
Yes.
Because much less of the ocean is being explored than space.
Mm-hmm.
There could be all sorts of alien creatures under the ocean waiting to be discovered that we don't even know about yet. Hell, we might even find another sentient species that can speak our language, or we can actually communicate with. You know, if dolphins are anything to go by. But, you know, it just sort of like it kind of surprises me that the no one's actually took that on, that we've only really seen maybe, you know, two, maybe three things that have sort of like hit the zeitgeist, as it were. As in, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and then we had Sequest, and somewhere between those two we had The Abyss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just it's kind of funny that they've not tried to do more with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching a film when I was a kid, and I can't remember what it was called or who was in it, but they lived in an underwater house.
Oh.
And it was cool because they could watch dolphins and whales and stuff swimming at while they were sat in their living room. It was made in the 60s, so it was kind of hokey and all that, but it looked really cool.
Yeah.
So but back onto Lost in Space, I'm kind of
I'll check it out. I mean, if it's good, I'll watch it.
I'm like you. I want to see what the middle ground's like on this thing.
Yeah. If they go too serious with it, I'll dump it in 5 minutes, because I'm not watching the Ron Moore Battlestar Galactica version of Lost in Space. I refuse. But if they aim for some middle ground, like they're trying to do on current Doctor Who, that I'll watch.
Yeah, well, on current Doctor Who, as soon as we're on it, we may as well discuss it in a little while. I'm not sure if there's another show you want to mention.
No, that was it for me. The list that we were working off of kind of was sort of lackluster. A lot of near-apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic, and then procedural shows with sci-fi wrapping. Not a lot to really inspire.
Okay, well, let's go back to Doctor Who, because we've only got 2 episodes left now.
Yes.
By the time this airs, the first episode of the season 10 finale, will have aired, and we would have met the Mondasian Cybermen. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh God, I am so looking forward to it. It's not going to be occurring in the context I thought, but then a lot of the arc stuff didn't play out the way I envisioned. But then the arcs never do. And I got to tell you, and I got to say, and this isn't just because I was wrong in terms of my fan theory, but also just I didn't like the arc this year. The standalone stuff has been awesome, but then the threaded elements just haven't quite landed the way I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that last episode that they did, I wasn't really a big fan of. If I'd have been reviewing that, I'd probably given the story about a 7.5. So they were very lucky that Dominic was reviewing it. Because I would have saw but that's just me. Whereas Dominic's, the new generation of fan, but at least he's a new generation of fan that is looking to the past. To inform his writing, he's sort of he's not the new generation of fan that's sort of shallow and stuff like that. But his favourite Doctor is Matt Smith,
which he was interesting, and Matt Smith was cool in that he looked to Patrick Troughton for a lot of what he did.
Well, that's what I liked about Matt Smith's interpretation. Actually, was a callback he was making to Patrick Troughton for a lot of what he did. To that effect, I've lent Dominic War Games.
Cool.
So that's probably going to take him about a year to get through.
What's really scary is part of me is kind of glad that some of these longer episodes were lost simply because American fans got omnibus episodes, whereas they would just air them straight through. Can you imagine something like Dalek Master Plan as an omnibus episode?
Oh my God, that
they wouldn't have had a clue of how to break that up.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of scary, but I like that episodic thing about the older show where you'd have the last couple of seconds of the prior episode play out, but it would all play out from slightly different camera angles to how it played out in the final couple of seconds of the previous episode.
Yeah. It's cool.
And, and I just like that whole thing, and I like the older music as well. It was more creepy.
It was. Although the by the time they got to the Sylvester McCoy era, they were relying too heavily on synths. And I'm saying that as a child of the '80s who grew up on synth pop, so that should tell you something.
Yeah.
But
I hated synth pop. I was I've always riled against synth pop. I hate it.
I enjoyed it, but I enjoy it in relation to other forms of music. It's not, synth pop or bust. It's just synth pop is cool in moderation for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like synths when it's used as part of a TV or a movie soundtrack sort of thing, but in terms of sort of like putting a singer over the top of it and stuff like that, it just wasn't my thing. I'm too, about as synthetic as I get is plugging my guitar into a valve amplifier, and that's about as synthetic as I get. And don't even tell me to go near, sort of like, a modern amp. It's got to be a valve amp. It's got to have those glass valves in, so I get that nice warm sound. And I hear the pop when it comes on. So like it's I can actually tell the difference between the two. I'm not fussy. I am not fussy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Mondasian Cybermen, seeing how it plays out. I love how Missy's trying to reform Missy.
Yeah, what's interesting is Michelle Gomez has says that she's leaving Doctor Who after this series along with everyone else. What's interesting is if this arc plays out with Missy dying to protect the Doctor, she'll have ended up getting the ending that Roger Delgado was supposed to have before he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be kind of curious to see if they're actually going to go that direction. If they go that direction and that's her out, I'm going to be very pleased with that, actually.
Yeah, but what I think is also cool is we're going to have our first episode in which we have two different incarnations of the Master on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, they've done that on Big Finish, but we've never seen it on screen before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really looking forward to it because Sim and Gomez in the same space, that's going to be just epic at the performance level.
I mean, you might even find out what happened to Sim's master when he went after Rassilon at the end of the. We'll get to find out what happened there. Did he die or?
Yeah, my biggest fear there is that they're going to use basically Sim as a bad angel on her shoulder in her recovery process, and we'll just get a sort of internal monologue. I'm hoping that he's literal and not just an internal monologue.
He looked pretty literal to me in the trailer for the next episode.
Let's hope.
Because we did get a flash of him in the episode, and he looked to be sort of like doing his own thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for them to bring the meddling monk back. They've got to bring the meddling monk back.
Yes, and he's got to be played by Rufus Hound. Even though Rufus Hound is playing another character on Doctor Who, he is doing such an awesome job in the Big Finish things, playing the meddling monk. They've got to bring him back. That.
Well, we've got a new producer coming on board now with Toby Whithouse. So
no,
Chris Chibnall. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Though it would be great if Toby Whithouse was the next producer after Chris Chibnall.
Yeah, I love the fact that all these guys are on just sort of a perpetual shortlist, so they're probably all going to get turns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll probably see Toby Whithouse eventually.
I think the one person we won't see as showrunner will be Mark Gatiss.
Which is unfortunate, because I would really like him to be showrunner.
I don't think we'll see him as showrunner. I don't think he's I think as a rule he prefers to just sort of like do his own thing and write episodes and stuff like that. I don't think he kind of likes being married to one show for any length of time.
That's true, because when he's been doing Sherlock, when he was doing Sherlock with Moffat, he let Moffat do a lot of the day-to-day stuff, and he was just co-writer. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've still got fond memories of doing that interview with both of them when the first season of Sherlock was actually, brought over to the States for PBS, and You know, they were both eating. They were both on a lunch break having burgers in the hotel room.
That's right, I remember.
And it's sort of like it kind of that moment stuck in my mind. But what also I found out after the fact was the lady that arranged that interview. She actually told the editor of Monsters and Critics, April, at the time, that they were really, really impressed with my knowledge of Sherlock Holmes. They actually said to her, "This guy's obviously done his research and stuff like that." And it's not like I'd done any research. I've just watched.
You've read them. That's the research.
I've just read them all. Seen the old Basil Rathbone movies. I kind of know it. It's in my blood.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to sort of like Doctor Who. But once Doctor Who goes off, I don't know what I'm going to do my Saturday nights.
Yeah, I'm using the time to catch up on movie rentals and things like Ash versus the Evil Dead. I started that last night, and I'll continue with it tonight.
Okay, well, I think on that note, we'll bring this little episode to an end.
Cool.
So we'll be back again probably in the near future. We can't really give you a date, but it'll probably be, we'll be back as a duo when we're doing the shows proper again in the fall when the big shows come back, or maybe even just before the big shows come back. We'll do a DC special or something, talking about some of the castings and stuff like that.
Probably co-hosting it with our friends of the DC Power Hour.
Maybe might do that. Might see if we can get something sorted there. So we can get Jeff and Mart's on, and we can do a foursome, that sort of thing.
Especially with Comic-Con coming up, we'll be having lots of stuff to discuss at that point.
Yeah, we'll probably have to do that after Comic-Con, because Jeff will actually be at Comic-Con.
Oh, that's right. Bless his heart. He's gonna have fun.
Yeah, he's always at Comic-Con. He does a live episode of Super Geeked Up from there. So we'll be back again real soon. You might see a couple of interviews pop up over the summer, but we're taking a bit of a break for the summer now. So that's it for now. So goodbye.